Welcome to Learn It, a series of digital scrapbooking tutorials by Wendyzine Scraps. Today we're going to look at the word strip batcher action that has been updated. It's fixed a bug that occurred when using light text on a dark background, and I've added a couple of additional versions to the action. So let's take a look at how it works. In your download, you will have the action file and the template file. You want to open that template file in Photoshop or Elements and go ahead and load that action into Photoshop or Elements as well. So here I am in Photoshop with the template open. You'll see here that there are 3 layers over here on this template. You want to make sure that you have the paper layer selected, and then the first thing you're going to do is paste in your background paper, or you can fill this layer with color. So I'm going to go and copy a background paper and then come here and paste it. As long as you have that layer selected, it should paste right into that layer. If for some reason it pastes on top of that layer, merge them together and make sure that layer is named paper or the action will not run correctly. Once you've pasted that layer in position, you can go ahead and edit your layer effects. These layer styles here have been set up with an inner glow. If you want, you can adjust the size of that so that if you can see here that I'm adjusting this top one that says edit there. So as I drag this, it extends that sort of gradient that I have going over it further and further in towards the center. So you can play with that. You can change the opacity of it, make it darker or lighter, and even change the color. If you want to change the value of that color, you can. Let's go back to the brown one. And the blending mode. So you've got options there for changing that layer style. The word strip batcher is going to end up cutting your strips to this height at the width that you want. If you've changed that layer style on one layer, you want to copy it by right-clicking on that FX symbol, going down to Copy Layer Style, and then selecting the first one, holding in the Shift key, selecting the last one, then right-click and say Paste Layer Style. Now we've updated that same layer style on all of the layers. And then the final thing we need to do is type in our word strip words. I'm going to go ahead and copy those here that I've already typed up. I'm going to double click that layer and hit paste. And then I can go ahead and adjust the fonts if I want. So let's go over here and make this into a typewriter font. If I wanted, I could adjust the color of these as well. Let's say that I wanted that to be more of a dark brown. I can do that. Pressing Alt or Option Delete will fill that with the foreground color. I can make that a little darker if I want. I can also change the blending mode of that layer if I want to. Once I'm happy with how the text and the background look, I'm going to go ahead and run the action. So let's take a look at the actions that come with this new version 2 set. We have a PNG version, which will save out individual PNGs of each word strip here. We have a JPEG version, which will do the same thing but save a JPEG instead. We have a new script version. The script version will not save out any files, but instead rename the layers 01 through 24 and allow you to use the alpha saver from my alpha cutter saver scripts to save out the PNG. Alternatively, you can use the export JPEG script that I have to save out JPEGs if you want to provide JPEGs instead of PNGs. Because these strips don't have any edge pixels to them, they can be saved as JPEG, with one exception. If you choose to run the Doodle strip option down here, which we'll take a look at as well, those will need to be PNGs. So whether or not you use PNGs or JPEGs is kind of up to you. I've provided both options here so that you can make that choice. The Strip Doodler Pro will add a doodle around one word strip. The batch one will allow you to batch a whole folder of it. The PNG version, of course, will save them out as PNGs. The PNG version will use PNGs. The JPEG version will use JPEGs. Either way, both of these sets will save out a PNG because once we add that doodle, we will have transparent pixels and we'll need to have the PNG version instead of a JPEG version. Okay, so that's the basic idea of what we have in this set. So let's go ahead and just run through a sample of the PNG action. So I'm going to go ahead and select that and press play. We get a little instruction sheet that just reminds you how the action works. You can press continue and skip past that. And then you'll be presented with the transform handles for each of the word strips, and you can control where you want that word strip to be cropped to. If you hold in your Alt or Option key as you drag that anchor to the center or out from the center, it will resize evenly on both sides. So we're going to just go ahead and do that pretty quickly for each one of these. And you'll see this word's a little longer, so we want that there. And you can just eyeball those however you want them. And then finally, I wanted to point out that you can leave a blank spot here or several blank spots of different sizes. If you want to offer more than one size of a blank word strip, you can do that as well. So we'll just hit enter and leave a blank one there. Next, the action is going to prompt you to start saving each layer. So the way I like to do this when using this particular version of the action is to go ahead and type in my name here, and I'm going to call this Bookish Word Strip, and this one's going to be 01. So I'm going to type in the 0, select the rest of the name and copy it, and then add a 1 at the end. Now I can just hit save and enter. And as each strip comes up, I can just click paste, Command V, the number 2, and save and enter. So I'm just going to go through and paste the name with the next number as I go along and continue to hit enter and save all of these. Once I've saved the 24th strip, then the action is complete and we have a folder of strips. And let me just go show you. Here are the 24 strips, and I accidentally named that one wrong, so we'll fix that. Here are the 24 strips that we saved out. If I double click on one of those and open it back up, you can see there's the final word strip. So let's go back over to Photoshop. The JPEG version will just save those same exact files out as JPEGs. I wanted to go ahead and demonstrate the script version so you can see how it works with the Alpha Saver as well. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and just reuse this file here that I already had set up. This new version will not save your layered file, so if you do want to save your layered file, you should go ahead and do that for your records. So let's go ahead and press play and press continue through the message. And we're going to go through the same process here. I'm not going to resize all of these this time. I'm only going to resize the ones that aren't quite big enough. Okay, and we get a message, this action's complete, so hit continue. With this one, you'll see that now these layers have been renamed 01 through 24, and now we're prepared to go ahead and just use the Alpha Saver, which is right here. So with the Alpha Saver, I'm going to press play. I'm going to go ahead and select my folder. The way the Alpha Saver works is it's going to use the folder name, which is right here, with an underscore and then the layer name. And so it's automatically going to save these out to a PNG, trimmed, and put them into this folder here. So let's just go ahead and select that folder and let Photoshop do its thing. And so now I do not have to go through and hand save every single one of these files. So that's a really handy combination that you can use there. Okay, And so that one is done, and I can go ahead and close out of that file. All right, and then the last thing I wanted to show you was how these Doodle Actions work. So I'm just going to go ahead and open up one of those word strips. And this first action is not the batch action, it just runs on one file at a time. So I'll go ahead and press play and continue through the message. And then the first thing that the action will do is prompt us for a thickness of our doodle border. This is the default, it's set to 5, but you can change that if you want. Press OK. And then the next is going to be our doodle line. So it's going to basically apply a wave around this, and you can play with these settings as well. If you can play with the number and the length of it, but you can see right here a little sample of what it's going to do. So press OK if you want. It's going to rotate it and then run a second one and press OK, and then it's going to rotate it back. And then go ahead and hit OK through it again. And then we're prompted to save it. So this one I'll call 01 Doodle. Okay, and let's zoom in and see what that did. Now this is zoomed in quite far, so that's why it looks a bit jaggy there, but you can see when it's zoomed out, it's just fine. But that's the kind of effect that it's going to put onto that word strip. So that is the one action. You can also do the batch action. And for that one, what you would do is go ahead and just have one copy. I'm just going to run it here on, like, let's say 5 of them. So I'm just going to delete all the other ones we created. So I have this folder with 5 word strips in it. Let's go ahead and select the batch version and then go to File, Automate, Batch. And then here you're going to make sure that the batch PNG action is selected. Under Source, we're going to click Choose and open up our folder that has our word strips in it. And then this should be set to save and close. And then just go ahead and click OK. And then this is going to allow us to append it with the doodle name here. And I'm going to hit copy so I can just add that to each one. Okay, so that action's complete, and now when we come in here, you can see that we have all the doodle versions saved. And again, the only difference between the PNG and the JPEG is the file format you're starting with. So if we had exported to JPEGs instead of PNGs, and we wanted to run the doodle option, then we would need to use the JPEG version of that action here. And that is how the word strip action batcher works. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help. Thanks for watching this episode of Learn It.